Okay, I am back with Ralph and Ralphie. I did some work on him last night, and here he is. I did get the antenna on and the ears and the eyes on, but I'm glad that I did that offline because, again, it was a struggle to get them on there. And it wasn't for the reason you think. So I was going to use the process that BJ showed me, where you use super glue and baking soda. But I thought, I have all this plumber's epoxy. Let me see if this works. And it worked. It was great. I just kneaded it up, stuck it on there. It's nice and solid. Put the 2 bolts in there, stuck them in, only to find I didn't have a nut that fit those bolts. So I went over this entire place looking for something to stick in there, because by the time I got to it, it was after 10 o'clock and I couldn't get over to Home Depot. And what I did find were a couple of Molly bolts that fit those nuts, but they wouldn't work. I couldn't get them to turn on there. In the with it, it was just a nub that was about maybe a half an inch that poked through the foam. And so what I found was that I could take the spring-loaded part off of the Molly bolt, and I could just wind that thing on there with a washer that fit. And I got them on there, and I pulled it tight, and I'm really happy with the way those eyes are stuck on there. Anyway, in the meantime, I had this nose, and hopefully it's still sticky enough. I went outside and I stuck contact cement on it, and I put spray adhesive onto, it's still sticky, onto the foam part. And I'll show you the way that you do these noses. Try and make it. I did a horrible job when I did Ralph's, but I'll try and do a better job on this one. So basically, you just push all the darts back as best you can. Try and get just one dart on the front here, and you squeeze it all together. It's nice and tight on there. And then you go in with the scissors. And I don't know what happened to my other scissors. These are the rotten ones. Where are my good scissors? Well, I should probably use these guys anyway. So, well, I have no idea what happened to my scissors, but I will look for them at some point. Because of the way I put the stretch on there, it should be possible to get just about all of them out. Okay, so there you go. Both sides are pretty good. And then we're going to cut off all the extra fabric here. Keep trimming it away until it's basically flush. And I want to open up the nose because I'm going to, well, you'll see what I'm going to do here. Just about got it. Okay, so now this looks lovely. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the ladder stitch up this seam that I just made. And close it. And hopefully that'll be good enough, because I think this is the last of this fabric that I have. Oh, that's a hand. Oh my gosh, did I just use a hand? No, I got out the hands here. Okay. I gotta turn that fan on. It's hot in here. I think I can put this on the same way I put on Ralph's nose, because that went really easily. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to heat up the hot glue gun if I'm going to do that. Found my scissors. I just wanted to make sure that it's more or less flush. Let me put it on camera here. So you're trying to get as close to the edge of this as possible. And trying to get those fibers to kind of pinch in. In the vast majority of this nose, you don't ever see any of the stitches on it. It's only on the very tip of it. But with this irregular shape, it'd be really tough to pattern it, especially since it's carved. So it may not be symmetrical. Look at that nice jagged seam I have going on there. Can you see it? I'm doing a bang-up job on this thing. So I got that ugly pucker right there, but I'm not going to worry about it too much because it's on the back of his nose. I don't understand why this only pulls one way. I guess that's why. Okay. So I think I picked off too many, or I cut too many of those fibers when I was doing this, but like I said, I don't really care. At least you know they're clones because they both have rotten noses. Okay. Okay, good enough. Okay, now the the next thing I did was I want to stick it up about like that, And so what I did is I actually took a Persona and I notched just the very top of it. So now it'll lie flush against there like so. And then all I did was, when I did this, is I took a pin and I ran it up through here. And very carefully pushed it through until it came out that center seam. There it goes. There we go. And I line that up. I want it to come out just where those two eyes meet. There it goes, right there. Can you see that? If you can see it. That's the end of the needle right there, or the pin. I'm going to shove that right on there like so, until it's straight. I'm going to just leave the pin in there, and then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue right on the end of that eye. Try not to mess it up. I put way too much glue on there, but I think when it gets cool, I can peel it off. So blown out, you can't even tell, but ouch, ouch, ouch. Let me turn off that glue. I don't want to get it on the fabric if I can help it. But provided it doesn't take the paint off, I should be able to just peel it right off this eye. Trying to keep pointy stuff away from these eyes, but I'm not really doing a great job. I don't want to scratch this paint. Okay, so I got his nose on. So now, they look like brothers. Okay. Okay. Suppose I could put the pupils on to hide this gash that's right here. Okay. Why not? I got to say, I did a pretty good job of getting his mouth plate done. Okay. All right, I think I'm going to use 2 different size eye pupils. I have a big one. It's the big one. Okay. I'm glad nobody's watching because I sure am making a lot of mistakes. Okay. Here's what I don't want to do is get that in that glue gun. Okay. You don't usually have to do this. It's just because it's such a small piece of paper. I'll show you what I'm trying to do. And I may end up not actually going through with this, but so this is the size pupil that Ralph has. So I'm trying to do this. So this is that eye. Okay, and then I'm going to make a smaller one. Actually, I'm going to make the tick first. I have an idea how to do that. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to make like a crescent moon. And I may want to use a smaller one, but I think that's going to be his one eye thing there. Let me get a smaller one for the, only slightly smaller. Lost a little trapdoor. This might be a bad idea, but I'll soon find out, I guess. You thought me sewing was boring. There we go. The idea was that Ralphie was just a little bit frazzled all the time. If it's overly distracting, I'll just not do it. But it looks like a little too much. I think I'm just gonna. All right, I can always adjust those later, but I don't know. I kind of like it. Even from a distance, it's not that overly apparent. It does look like one eye is a little higher than the other, though. All right, for now I'm almost. I thought I was gonna say it was ready, but there we go. Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna work on that hands for the rest of the day, I think, until somebody comes along and actually says something that steers me in another direction. friend of mine was telling me that she was watching the feed and wondered why I spent so much time on the ribbing on Ralph's neck when nobody could notice it. Well, I don't know. Okay. Fun. Sure, I have a right and a left. Right. Oh gosh. Okay, there we go. Whew. So I've been working on a commission, which is coming along really good. I'm really happy with it. Won't be able to show it until it actually is broadcast, but I think they're going to be real happy with it. So here's hoping. So I was really anxious to get back to Ralphie today because it was like working on commissions is really stressful sometimes, trying to get everything exactly right. Whereas this is, I basically have to please myself and whoever happens to watch the live feed, I guess. And actually, who cares about them? Okay, I'm missing a tick mark, which is great. Yeah, try not to catch your scissors up in the the thread if you can help it. It's a pro tip right there. I probably should have built Ralphie first. And then I could have tested out the mech. And if it didn't work, doesn't matter. It didn't work. But it works good enough. But it's not often that you have a whole prototype that's almost completely put together that you can kind of test stuff out on. I think his hair is going to be a lot more kept than Ralph's too. Ralph's is so out of control. I did tie some of it down last night because there was a couple of cowlicks that I just couldn't tame. You see, I kind of tied this one down. That was the one that was really a mess, and pulled this one up, so it kind of was even. But I think Ralphie is going to be maybe closer to the last Ralph. I'm still going to put those boas on there just because I think it adds a little bit to the movement. And I think I'm going to retrofit Mayberry to be the same way. because I do have some yellow. I have some of the yellow ostrich plumes too. I haven't decided yet the order of what I'm going to do everything in. As much as I want to get Mayberry put together, I kind of feel like I should not lose my momentum and just leave Mayberry until the very end so that I can get the rest of the characters done. You know, in case Hollywood comes a knocking and they want a Melonpool show for all these years. It's so easy to accidentally get these fingers caught in the thread too. I'm going to make sure I'm not getting messages on this thing. Nope. I'm really happy the way these hands are turning out, though. I wasn't sure that I used the right um, foam hand to go with these fleece coverings. But I mean, it was the only ones I had in the Melonpool box, so I was like, well, it's got to be what I used. And they don't match, but they work great together. I think the extra foam that's in the hand makes the fingers a little bit more dense, and I think they're a little bit better than if I had something that fit exactly. Oops. It's going to be a lot of fun when I have 2 puppets done. I had fun yesterday with Dave Baker. doing my bad impersonations. I listened back to it and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, they're not terrible, but it's just funny because I'm pretty self-conscious in regular life about doing it around people that I don't know. I remember doing a show. I did a slam piece at for Puppetzilla years ago, and I had all these impersonations set up. I was gonna do what I had like I think I had 4 characters I was doing, and one of them was based on Harvey Firestein. Another one was based on um, Dean Martin, and another one was based on um, God, what were the other ones? Oh, Jimmy Durante was another one. And anyway, and then the last one I think was just my own voice. When I watched the playback on that, they all were my voice. I got so nervous. They all sounded exactly the same. I don't know why this thread keeps knotting. Or it doesn't really knot. It's just like part of it doesn't go through the hole. Gotta be tight. It doesn't help that I have thread all over this table. I used up the last of my craft paper today too, so I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot and get another roll. But that lasted me, I think, since I moved in this place. I've been here 3 years. I also need to get some more file. Oh, I need to order some more file folders too. I go through a lot of file folders because I use that to make patterns. I saw that the Swazzle guys use tagboard, which I used to use. I used to use a type of tagboard. My mom used to get it for free from her work because they used it for packing. But it must be a thicker type of tagboard because I don't think it's nearly as. It was really hard to use. used to make things like board games and stuff like that out of it. Actually, the first drawings of Mayberry, where I kind of gave him the Mickey Mouse feet and the hair, that was on a piece of that tag board. I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to do some more. I keep saying this. I know that in the feed I've said it at least 3 times that I'm going to do some comics on here again. But I do think about it a lot now. Maybe this will be my summer of finishing projects. Maybe I'll get Johnny 5 done and Vicky and Roberta. What else did I have half built? Those are the big ones. I keep thinking somebody's written something, but it's actually a message from Restream. I guess I got 2 fingers done, which is good. Or mostly done. Only 95 fingers to go. You see, when I was redesigning Melonpool, because Melonpool, he started out like a stick man with a pogo stick leg. And then I added a second leg. He still didn't have fingers. And the biggest redesign happened on that piece of tag board where I was trying to really, I had gotten to be about, I think 9. And I was, I created it when I was 6. But I started to think a little bit about like, what do I want him to do? And I need to really make this, if I'm going to use this character for forever, I better make sure he can do everything I need him to do. And one thing he's going to need is fingers. But I didn't want to just rip off Disney or, really any cartoon. And so I thought I'd be real smart and not have 3 fingers and a thumb, but I'd have 5 fingers in a thumb. That particular design choice lasted about 15 minutes because let me tell you, there's nothing harder than trying to fit 6 fingers onto a hand, cartoon character hand. Probably. Oh my gosh. Look at that loop. Look at that awful loop. Can I get that out of there? Nope. I cut it off. Yep. When it's tied really tight like that, it's pretty easy to just cut it off. So let me think. I'm going to take a little break and draw something here. Okay, so The original Mayberry was basically that was basically the original Mayberry. And then about 6 months later, I refined him. To be that. And then, for a very brief moment, I don't know what I was thinking with this, but this is the one that was on the tag board. Actually, he had a, that's right. And this is the one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers. And that was for like one night. You look like that. And then I this would have been about 3rd grade-ish. Actually, I wasn't using a circle. This is how I would draw him. Let's see if I can do this again. So he would be kind of like this. I think he had a pointy body too for a while doing this. I made it a circle. I mean, a rounded body pretty quick. So we got to that. And then from there, so this is the Smurfs. The Smurfs really made an impact on me. So that was where those eyes came from. And I guess the next the biggest thing was I had that. The antenna. And then he ended up with a rounded body and Mickey Mouse shoes. And at this point, I am about 5th grade. Kind of looking like this. Okay. And then it just kept refining and refining and refining. And as I would refine it more and more, and this is basically where it was locked in, about 5th grade. And that's where, you know, by 3rd or 4th grade, this is when Ralph came along, and he looked like this. And Sammy came along, Sammy the Hammy. And I had a hamster named Sammy. Actually, he just had black eyes. And also, The Secret of Nim had come out. So I was really into The Secret of Nim. And Garfield. Garfield also had come out, which is where I got those eyes. So that was what Sammy kind of looked like for a while. And I had Sam the dog. I was also very into, I know this is going to shock you, I was really into Gilligan's Island. I usually would draw him from the side, but he always, that's where he got the hat. And he basically stayed the same for a long time. He looked like that for a long time. But basically, that was where they all kind of got locked in. And up until about, I want to say high school, I was still drawing all the characters more or less like this, but I kept kind of refining. And as I refined, the eyes got bigger and bigger and bigger until finally they became like their whole head. Let me go grab something. Oh, well, I won't grab it. But when I started building the puppets, a lot of these shapes didn't translate 100%. I mean, I don't know. I should build one that looks like this. That might be kind of a fun project. Because I have the drawing that I did when I was a kid, like the original drawing that Mayberry started with, maybe the second one. I have, and to try and make that into a puppet, that might be a fun exercise. But I don't even know how I got on this tangent, other than I was tired of sewing. Yeah, I mean, this process, these characters have been with me so long. 78 was when Mayberry started, and he's still a part of my life, some capacity. Is that 47 years? 40? Yeah, I think that's 47. I could be like clickbait, and I could just say, yeah, that's been 37 years, and then just wait for somebody to chime in so I can get somebody to actually post on my feed. I mean, it's looking pretty good on this side. I wonder if I'll feel the same type of accomplishment having finished Ralphie that I did with Ralph, because this is it's only the second puppet, but I made 2 versions of Ralphie, and I started them twice. I made a standee, and then I made or I started building him, but I never finished him. But it wasn't hanging over my head all that time. It was just like something. I think actually because I haven't really touched the Sammy puppet, like I haven't redesigned him since about 2005, and I still have all the patterns, and I doubt I'll be able to use any of them. But I actually got him out when I was making the capybara. So it'll be very interesting to see that process. Just a thumb and another hand. and 2 arms to do. See, this is the type of stuff I should be doing offline because this is probably the most boring, tedious part of the whole process. Hands in general are pain. But, you know, suppose I could just make a bunch of snakes and then I don't have to worry about that. I'm only going to make snakes, worms. I don't know what else. Eels. I'm only going to make eels. Although once I get the arms done, it's just going to be making hair. It's all that's left on this puppet is hair and arms. Should be happy. Should be happy I'm not making hair. Hope you all enjoy me in my slow descent into madness as I sit here sewing these fingers. Occasionally, I'll pick up a fiber from this fleece. And I have to cut the fiber in order to release the thread, which is what I just did then. Okay, there's 3 fingers. So occasionally, like if I'm having a real hard time making this lay flat, sometimes you can pin it to the board, but then you have to deal with the pins too. I was going to do that, but I think I can get away with it. There's my spittoon. See, the Swazzle guys would have this done in 20 minutes. Just put it through the machine. Then they run out. They miss out on all this wonderful banter. Is it still banter when somebody's just talking to themselves? I'm gonna pinch this all together. Somehow I missed one of the registration marks. Try to make do. What time is it getting to be? It's good that I didn't finish. I'm going to say right now, it was good that I didn't finish something. it's it's good that I didn't finish Roberta all those years ago, because I think the way to finish her is to use the Foss shape. That was one of the things about her, is that because her body, had boobs. Um, it's it it made her look thicker than she needed to be because of all that foam. And I think the Foss shape's going to solve that problem. So I'm kind of looking forward to that now. So yay me. This will probably be my most viewed video too. Just me toiling away the hours sewing something by hand. It's like, there's no useful tips here. It's all just me sewing. I used to watch this woman on PBS who would make quilts. In fact, that and my grandmother teaching me how to sew on a sewing machine are really the only instruction I ever got. But yeah, I couldn't imagine just hour after hour making a quilt. But I know people do, let alone filming it. I'd have my whole afternoon planned out for me, because I'd watch that. I'd watch Bob Ross. Occasionally, I'd watch Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street. Sometimes I'd watch Secret City. Oh, somebody's here. Woohoo! Hey, Dave. Yeah, it's oh. How did that happen? How did I get on this other side? Uh-oh. Well, that was a waste of time. Let's see. I think I just sewed up where the arm rod goes. I must have, when I changed threads, gotten on the wrong side. I won't cut those stitches out because I might be able to salvage some of them, but see, I'm glad you came on, Dave, because otherwise I would have just continued sewing until I closed that arm up. Okay. I probably watched Mr. Rogers a little too long, a lot longer than most kids, because my brother's 4 years behind me, and so by the time I had outgrown it, he was watching it. But then there was a period of time when I was older, like maybe even high school, where I watched it again because I was so interested in the way the puppets, uh, because they were so much different than any other puppets. And I just messed this up. Note to self: buy a candle. Look at that. Look at that. Is there any salvaging it? Look at that. Almost. I almost got it. Well, the fact that I got that much of that mess figured out, it's pretty good. The perfect crime. There we go. I may try the Adam method for removable arm rods. I've never tried it. I usually use the flag method, but I don't like stitching around the opening. I exclusively use the Adam method. That's the biggest thing I ever took off his channel was that technique, which I had read about years before, but I never did it. Um, it just was. I used the flag method. I hated the flag method. I used the permanent rods for the longest time. And it wasn't until Strange Fork that I actually used that bent rod technique, and now I pretty much use it exclusively. It's kind of a pain, but it works really well. I think I remember reading about that on Frank Barone's website years earlier. The only reason I don't like the flag is because I don't like the pins. I don't think I have any puppets right now that use that method. And again, it depends greatly on what you're using them for. I like to use the permanent rods when I'm making puppets for like conventions and stuff, because I mean, if that's all they're for, you're never gonna need to remove them. And I'd much rather have a permanent rod that I never have to remove than have it fall out at the wrong time. You're hugging some kid and the arm rod falls off, or you're hugging some kid and the pin, the needle, the pin sticks them, which I don't like either. Or you stick yourself with that pin and you get blood all over the puppet, which is not a good idea either. I should try the method I should try, because I've never really given it a good run, is I should do the sculpt and pull a pattern method, because I know a lot of people use it, and I know it's not that I'm critical of it, I just don't really use it, but I know a lot of people do, and I've pulled patterns off stuff, but I haven't actually pulled it off clay or whatever. I suppose I could do it off of Sammy. He's got such an interesting shaped head that might be a good exercise. Oh, that's a nasty seam. But it doesn't matter because it'll all be under the sleeve. So I need to get really good at my stitches so that just in case Henson ever discovers me. You know, just in case. See, if I hadn't sewn like an inch and a half on that other, oh my gosh, look at how off that is. Okay, I'll even it out. Somehow I got off. Let's see. Yeah, it's not lined up there. Not lined up there. Yeah. Well, it's fine. Okay, that's what I used on my cartoony head. There's a snap method too. I've never tried it either. Heavy duty snap is placed in the palm so you can unsnap the snap. The rod can pivot and supposedly gives you a lot more motion. Yeah, but it also gives you motion where you don't want it. Like, there used to be this technique where you'd put a doll joint, and I've used that one too. In fact, I think the Sammy puppet, let me check. I think the Sammy puppet has it in it. So, yeah. So there's a doll joint in here. Let's see if you can see it. You see, that's what's left of a doll joint in here. In fact, I might be able to pop it out. Yeah. There we go. There's the doll joint. And I think the fitting is right here. I cut it. I cut it with a hacksaw to get the rod off. But what would happen is you'd have a loop of wire, a loop of welding rod that would fit onto here, and then you'd snap it into position, and that'd be how it would work. But what would happen is every time you did something, the hand would flop around. I mean, it just didn't seat I like to have a really tight finger, a hand on there so that I can motion. Well, so rod on. So, oh yeah, this one's on here. Yeah. So you see how much play there is? So when I mean, that's basically the snap idea. But I just don't like that. I don't like that at all. So that's why I switched. But yeah, I can't remember who used to use the doll joint idea. I mean, I got to a point where I would try everything. I'd try any way to do it. In fact, BJ one time, he said, if you ever have any ideas about how to do a arm rod, run it by me first, because chances are we already tried it. That's why I always laugh when I see people who do, or not laugh, but I wonder how they got any success out of it using the spoke with a nut embedded in the hand, because that's where I started. I started with a threaded rod with a little piece of wood with just one second. Little piece of wood with a nut embedded in the embedded in the hand, and that lasted all of like 3 seconds before that thing broke. And I just can't imagine them being particularly secure. But maybe somebody else knows how to do it, because I know a lot of people do use a bicycle spoke with some sort of fitting in there, but I couldn't get it to work. Okay, here we go. Ah! Yeah, the one that I always did, and I never ever did it, but I always had the intention of doing it, was putting the doll joint in the shoulder, having a permanent rod in the wrist, and then just making the whole other arm that didn't have, like, have 3 sets of arms for every puppet. One with an armature, one just was floppy, and another that had a rod. But I never have done that. Look at how far off that is. I seem to remember the other one was that way too, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. It must be something about the way that I stretch fabric or whatever as I'm sewing that causes that to happen. Not that you can see any of it. I might redo Ralph's sleeves too. I made them so many times and they're a little ragged on one end. So they'd be simple enough to redo though. Okay, let's see how much damage I did. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this because I won't be able to get the hand in. Yeah, that's not too bad. Because you got to leave it wide enough at the bottom so that you get the fingers in there. Okay. Okay. Turn the right side out. So exciting. My stomach's been growling this entire thing. So I'm probably going to get off here as soon as I get this hand turned. Or hand stuffed, I guess. Here, I'll show you what I was talking about before. A couple of things. This is the part where, remember when I said that's an ugly seam? You see that? You see that seam? I changed it from here on. You can see how much cleaner that is. And that was by laying it flat as I sewed it, as opposed to on end, which is causing this buckling. Which, I mean, if you want to get a tight seam, have the pieces end to end and sew it from the back, because that'll help that. I know people are obsessed with being able to remove rods. A lot of people are anyway. That's the first thing anybody asks me when they buy a puppet, that's especially one that's like just for display, like a replica. Oh, do the arm rods come on? Yeah, I guess they could. Oh, okay. And then, they never take them off. There it is, like a glove. Okay. I can pick those seams a little bit, but okay. So I bought another bag of polyfill. I have a little bit left of the other, but I don't have enough for one arm. I only have enough for one arm. I think I only have enough for one arm. That's all I have, is this little bit. And this stuff is a lot denser than this. I hate this stuff. This is luxury down alternative fiber fill. Oh, that's where I went wrong. And this one is the original polyfill. Okay, I'm going to use the original. Yeah, this is the stuff. It's like being on a cloud. I'm not going to redo Ralph, but I think this is going to be a lot better. I think I just have to use more. Like I use more of it in Ralph's. I'm not showing you. Because it didn't fill it up. It just, I put a bunch in there, and then I'd still have to add more. So I think I'm using less in this one, but it's filling it up better. As much as I hated using that silky stuff, I did look for it when I went and bought new, because I knew I didn't have enough to do a whole arm. And I'd hate for it to be, He has polio in one arm and Mr. Universe on the other. Well, I don't think I'm going to finish this arm on air. I may finish it tonight later, but I'm so hungry. My stomach's been growling for an hour. But little by little, I think I will finish both arms tonight and maybe make the sleeves. And then by tomorrow, unless I don't do it tonight, by tomorrow, it's all hair for the next 3 days. And then by Friday, it'll be done. I have both of them. And then all I have to build, well, then I'll have to assess what my next plan of action is. Tell you what, it's not going to be rebuilding Jalea. I think what I like about the Adam method, which I kind of use a variation on his method. The thing I like about it is the actual making of the arm rod is pretty easy. Just getting that curve is is a little bit easier to keep consistent than making a flag that has to fit a certain pocket, or making a pocket that has to make a certain flag. Like, I really try to make them all universal so that I don't have to figure out which arm rod goes with what puppet, or whatever. So okay, so I think Adam used vinyl tubing and I use like the fish transparent tubing. I think there's a little bit more grip to it. But I think that's what Nick Barone used, which I'm kind of a hybrid between the two, I guess. See, I caught that fiber, and I got to cut that fiber in order to move all of it. Do you ever put the the beads in the arm. Like I said, I never had much success. Like I didn't think it added or subtracted anything. It just made it a lot harder to work or harder to build. Do you ever put the beads in? I know a lot of puppeteers just swear by them. Okay. I think just one more piece of thread and this arm is done. Great. Only 75 more arms to go. That's part of the nose. I'm going to get rid of that. See, noses run in their family. So. That was a gag from an old Scooby-Doo cartoon. Not even a good Scooby-Doo. It was one of the ones with Scrappy. The little, like, 8-minute episodes where they would go someplace and have a bunch of gags. And then I don't even think they had ghosts in them. It was just the three of them were running around. And they went to this one where they were going to the Shaggy's home, manor or something, and they said, "Oh, there's a picture of my grandfather." And they look at the thing, and it looks just like Shaggy, but he has like a Civil War outfit on or something. Shaggy goes, "Oh," or Scooby says, "Oh, it looks just like you," and Shaggy goes, "Oh yeah, mainly our noses run in our family." And I thought that was such a funny gag. When's the next Swazzle live stream? I looked for it today. I thought maybe it would be today. or are they doing it regularly? I haven't seen Charles Yeager on here lately. I wonder where he's up. What he's up to. I think the last time I saw him was when I was making the neck for this guy, the collar. Sure, I'm glad this looks so good since nobody will ever be able to see it under the shirt. So this video is very much like the one I did last week at this time, where I made Ralph's arm in the same way. So now you've seen me make two arms for two different characters who are basically the same character. Okay. Hi, Tilly. Hi, baby. All right. Well, I think I'm about done. Come here, baby. Come here, Tilly. Come on. All right. Tilly and I are going to go for a walk, and then I'll get that other leg done, or the other arm done. Pet Tilly. To get that other arm done, and then tomorrow, Ralphie, I guess, will be on to hair, unless I haven't finished the other stuff. But I will see you guys later, and thanks for